Hi, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to knit an I-cord. An I-cord is a knitting structure that gives you a long tube of knitting that looks like this. It's actually not a tube, but it sort of looks like it is. It looks like a shoelace or a drawstring. So you could use an I-cord like this on a pot holder to create a loop for hanging. You could use it as a tie for a hat. You could use it as a drawstring for a sweatshirt. All different kinds of ways you can use an I-cord. It's very simple and easy to knit. So in my little sample here, I have a 10 stitch swatch. I'm going to demonstrate as if I was knitting something like this, but you have to follow your knitting pattern to know. So in this circumstance, I'm going to make this a little loop for this sample. I have knit my swatch and done a bind off up until I have 3 stitches remaining, 2 on my left needle and 1 on my right needle. And I'm going to go ahead and finish the row by knitting 2 more stitches like this and not binding them off. So I'm going to leave these 3 stitches active. I'm going to turn the work around, and on the wrong side of the work I'm going to purl all 3 stitches. I'm demonstrating here on circular needles that have had the cord cut off so that it doesn't make a lot of noise whacking around while I'm demonstrating, but obviously you can use circular or straight needles for this. So back on the right hand side of the work, or the right side of the work, I'm going to knit these 3 stitches, and then, wouldn't you know it, I'm going to turn it back around and purl these 3 stitches. So I'm basically knitting on the right side and purling on the wrong side, tiny little knitted rows. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this I-cord, and I'll be right back so you can see what it looks like when it's done. So I finished knitting my I-cord. It is long enough to be doubled back, or long enough for demonstrating. You'll want to knit it as long as your pattern tells you to knit the I-cord for. And what you'll notice as you're knitting is that if you just give the yarn a tug, it sort of loops back on itself like this. You can't really even see the purl side much anymore. You sort of just see the knitting wrapping around. That's because knitting stitches and purling stitches create an unbalanced knit structure that wants to naturally roll on itself like this. And that is to your advantage in the I-cord. So you give the work a little tug. And this is the way that I like to bind off I-cords. I slip those 2 stitches, and then I knit. And then I move my stitch from my right hand needle to my left hand needle, and I knit these 2 stitches together, and I pass those off over, so I have 1 stitch left. I cut my yarn, pull my stitch a little longer, and I take my yarn through the work like that. And if you were doing a hat tie, you would just weave this end in, or maybe you would put a pom-pom on here, whatever you can imagine. But for this, I would take a tapestry needle and I would use it to weave in this end, which would also secure this loop down like that. And that is how you finish